Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to change this switch in the 300 SD today. I don't even know if you guys can see my face. I think I have it zoomed in down here, but I'm going to show you guys how to remove the center wood piece right here and get the switches out, because it's almost never the door motor or actuator, or the window motor actuator. It's like 90% of the time, I'd even say 99% of the time, it's just a bad switch. And these switches can be disassembled and cleaned. So first thing we do, we're going to put the car back here and the shifter back here so we can get access. And we lift up the ashtray. See, you literally just pull the ashtray out. That ashtray has never been used. That's obviously not a smoker, but all right. Okay, so once you get the ashtray pulled out, you see you have these two screws. So we'll just loosen these a little bit. All right, I'm going to stop recording because I do not want to drop those. I'll come back in a second. Okay, better yet, we're going to use a magnet to take those guys out. Here we go. Now, there's going to be a clip, a power plug back here. There it is, right there. That power plug is the power for the cigarette lighter. So you just pull that out. All right, there we go. We just unplugged that power cable right there. Now, the next thing we do, what we'll do is just tuck this up. There's all the original insulation, so I can tell this is, I don't think that's ever been out. So the next thing we want to do is remove this little change holder. See how that comes out like that? We'll just set this guy over here. And now we have access. I just pulled this forward. See how it slid forward? Push it forward, and then it pops up. And what we see, let's see if we can get a good view here. Once it lifts up, all of the, there we go. There's the back of all the plugs. So I need to unplug all of those. I know that's really hard to see, you guys. But basically, before I can get this out to remove the switch, I need to unplug all of those. So I'm going to set the camera up over here and show how I do that. There we go. You want to slowly just pull up to get some of the slack out. There we go. And I can start to get access to them. And literally, these just unplug from the back. There, I got the driver's side done. You guys might be able to see the plugs right here. I don't know. There you go. Hopefully you guys can see these plugs. They're right there. This is the passenger side. See, I just unplugged it there, unplugged it there. All right, and then we can get a little more slack. I'm going to move our shifter forward again. And there we go. Okay, so let me show you what's going on here. Okay, so what we had here, there's 3 plugs on the left side, the driver's side, front window, rear window. That's the child safety lock. So that looks like front window, rear window, child safety lock. There you go. You can see the pins in the front, 2 in the middle, and in the back. And then on the passenger side, see, there's no child safety lock. So on the passenger side, there's just 2 plugs, front window, rear window. Then this is the dimmer switch, which is of course located right here. Now this dimmer switch is important because the signal for all the speakers, for the rear speakers, actually travels from the radio through the dimmer switch and then out to all the speakers. So if this is unplugged or damaged, your speakers won't work. And then the last one is right there, that little 6 plug. It's actually a 5-pin. That is for the electric side mirror. In the SD, they were making an electric side mirror. You know, on the driver's side, it's still manual, but on the passenger side, you can't reach over there in the SD like you can on the 123, so it's electric. So anyway, we got our panel out. Let's go figure out what's going on with our switch here. All right, as we can see, the condition, this is probably the nicest center console wood piece I've ever seen on one of these cars. Look at that. I've had 2 or 3 that look like that, but that is amazing condition. I mean, that's incredible. Anyway, all these switches work. It's just this switch. So what I want to do, if we turn it over, we can see there's a tab right there. Press that tab in. There we go. Here we go. Press that tab in as we push the switch out. There we go. And gotta be real careful. Don't force anything. All right. I'm being a little stubborn, so I want to make sure it's not hanging on anything. There we go. All right. Set that aside. And here is our switch. So I actually have an old stock Mercedes switch over here. Bam. Oh, here's the one I'm looking for right here. This is an old stock driver's side switch. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the passenger side. We're not looking for the driver's side. So I need an old stock passenger side switch. Which, there's one. There we go. We got one right here. So before I attempt to disassemble the switch that's not working, I just want to go try this old stock one and see how this works in the car. If this works fine, we're just simply going to replace the switch. Okay, so here's our switch. Let me go ahead and just plug in the front connector. Okay, there's our original Mercedes old stock switch. So let's give it some power here. And that switch, okay, that switch has the same problem. It is not working. So the rear one does though. So this leads me to believe it's maybe a line, the wire has come disconnected in the door. Maybe it's come disconnected from the motor. We're going to go over there and look next. So let's pop this back out of here and continue our troubleshooting. All right, before I actually take off the door panel, we are going to check the fuses here and see what we have. So here's the original fuse chart. Let's just look here. Window lift, front right, rear left. Fuse A. Fuse A is right here. There's nothing wrong with that fuse. Plus, that controls the front right and rear left. So that means the left window would not be working, and it is if that fuse was not good. So we know it is not a fuse. There's our cigar lighter radio here. I'm just looking to see if there was a fuse for the light in the where the cigar lighter. That's funny. It's not a cigarette lighter. It's a cigar lighter. If you're driving a Mercedes and 1984, you're definitely smoking a cigar. Anyway, so let's put this back together, and we're going to go remove the door panel and directly connect to the motor and test the motor. Okay, this car is on the lift, so I can't fully open the door, but you guys get the general idea. You've seen me remove door panels many times on these cars. First, we just take off the little chrome bezel around the latch. And we just set all this stuff on the floorboard. So we have to unscrew the lock here. Take that off. There's a screw right here. We need to remove this. We need to remove this trim piece right here to lift up the door panel. And there's a screw right here on the edge. Take that out. That's a little one. All right. This little piece then comes out like that. All right, there we've zoomed in a little bit. Next, I'm going to use, these are from old school computer repair kits. They're microchip removers when you used to pull microchips off of motherboards. And those are great for putting around the seat control switches. There we go. And just pull them straight off. And we'll go ahead and grab the one here and pull it straight off. Here we go. All right. Once those guys are off, hopefully you guys can see here, we need to remove the little plastic insert behind the door handle. And you do that with a flathead. Stick it back there. And you just pull the front two tabs out. There you go. And that comes out, and I don't know if you can see it in the video, that exposes a screw right behind it. And we take that screw out. There we go, easy enough. Now, this mechanism can come loose from the door and expose a bolt. I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a bolt right behind here. I know you probably cannot see it from the angle you guys have, but we're going to go in there and loosen that bolt. We have to pull this down a little bit more. There we go. And sometimes I need an electric, oh there we go, that one's turning. Sometimes I need an electric drill to do that because it's in there really tight. But we were able to get it. All right, basically that makes our handle is now loose. And I don't know if I'm going to be in the shot or not, guys, but there's a screw underneath there. There we go. Take that screw out. There we go. And there is one more right there. There we go. And that's going to remove our armrest. There we go. Now we can remove our armrest. There we go. And we've basically just removed the armrest. There's our seat control motor. So we just put all this down in the floorboard. And now this door panel, there we go. Basically, you have to work it over the switch. There we go. It's a little tricky to do that. There we go, perfect. And oops, I'm sorry, we need to unplug the courtesy light. I didn't show you guys that. The courtesy light is right down here. That just pulls out. That courtesy light pulls out, and there's just a positive and negative. There we go. Let's get this off of here. There we go. Perfect. Now we can pull that out and take our door panel off, and always just set them in the back seat. Now that we have that off, and this is the original plastic membrane. This is a protective barrier that goes between the door card and the outside door structure, so water can't get in there. Because water will run down inside the door through the seals on the outside, and it drains out, but you don't want it to seep into the vehicle. So we definitely want to preserve this. We're going to go inspect this motor, and I'll re-adhere this plastic membrane with super trim adhesive and put it back exactly how it was when I'm finished. It's very easy to pull this stuff off. And there is our motor right there. We're going to see if we can power that and see what's going on with it. So let me go get. Okay guys, what I've done, I've disconnected the motor from this. There's a junction box right here. See the two screw holes right there? And here's where the wiring to the switch comes to the junction box. And then the motor, it also attaches to the junction box. So what I'm doing, I've got a multimeter hooked up to the cabling that runs all the way back, the wiring that runs all the way back to the switch. So I'm going to go ahead and press the switch. There we go. That's the down position, and I'm getting 12 volts. I let off the switch. I press it up. I'm getting 12 volts. So this switch is working. It's a good switch, and the wiring is good. And believe it or not, this is rare. I hardly ever see this. But what this is telling me is that once it comes through the switch and runs over here, there's something wrong with the motor. So I'm going to go ahead and inspect the motor now. All right, guys, what you see here is a jump box. I got a positive and negative terminal, and it provides 12 volts. And you can see I have it hooked up to the window motor, which is right there. And here we can see the problem. This should move the motor. Hear it spark. I'm sorry, see it spark? That means we have a short inside that window motor. So despite me rarely seeing these things fail, I need to remove this window motor, and let's pop. All right, guys, I've already removed this motor. So the motor sits in here like this. And on the back side of the motor, which you can't see, you have to reach around there with a 10 millimeter, and there are 3 10 millimeter bolts. There you go. I've got them laying right there. And then what you do is you take the nuts off the regulator, so you can push the regulator back just a little bit like that, and then this motor can press out and slide out. So we're going to put this on the bench. I'll probably try to repair this motor. Okay, here we have our motor that is not working, and I want to get inside here and take a look, because all this is an electric motor with a, let's see, worm gear that runs down through here, and then a gear on the inside. So I bet it's the bushings I'm sorry, the brushes on the electric motor, something like that is messed up. So I'm going to get a little Torx bit, and we're going to remove these. And if we have to... All right, we got our Torx bit here. Let's go ahead and remove these screws. I'm sorry, bolts. All right, there's our worm gear. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this section down here. You can actually see there's the gear in there that is turned by the worm gear. So this is fine. We don't need to open this up at all. Something is going on with our motor. Okay, so I went ahead and popped off this is like a protective cover that covers the terminals. And I just stuck a little screwdriver in there and popped this off. And then we can see there's those are actually soldered. Whoops. There we go. We have a positive and a negative where those wires are soldered in there. And then if you look, this plastic piece that they're soldered into, it goes onto this plastic piece. So push all of that up. Let's see. So this whole, and this rubber gasket, this was on here first. So let's take this guy off and we'll set it down upside down. Okay, let's take a look at this guy. Okay. There's the brushes right there. Those, I'm not an expert on electric motors, but I think it's a stator or something like that. Sorry, I'm probably using the complete wrong terminology, but there's some copper windings that these brushes right here and here rub against. Those brushes are obviously in excellent condition. I'm just going to set that commutator, stator, something like that. I don't know, but yeah, there it is right there. That's what I'm looking for. See this copper? That's what the brushes rub against when you provide power, and that's what causes it to spin. And what is going on here? Clearly, this is seized. It is not able to turn. So I'm going to pull this out, and we're going to take a look at it. Okay, so I went over to the vise and just wrapped it in a microfiber, and then pulled this out of the housing. And you can see how clean this is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this motor assembly. There's no water, nothing has ever gotten in there. But down here at the bottom, this piece right here was sticking into a bushing. There we go. You see how that bushing is cocked sideways? See, that bushing should be flat. Because it was cocked sideways, it caused that motor to bind, and that motor could not turn because of that bushing. So literally, I see how that bushing is in there too. It has little, see if we can zoom in here. Oh, look at that. So there's little like fingers around the bushing that hold it in place. And I bet if I take a punch, I can straighten that bushing out. We're going to use a big punch like this. And because this is an electric motor, those are magnets, right? So any metal you stick down here, it's hard to get to go down the center because they stick to the magnets. Let me get a brass punch so it will not stick to the magnets. Okay, here we go. Brass. Brass is not magnetic. So okay, that bushing is actually spherical. The back of the bushing is spherical, so that's pretty wild. So when this is down into the bushing, it gives it, bam, look at that. It gives it room. It's spherical so on the back side, so it gives it room to be able to pivot. So what I want to do, I want to clean out in there a little bit before I reassemble this. So I'm going to spray some Deox down in there. And then I'm going to put just a dab of grease down there. So the shaft right here on the end, the shaft on the end of the motor has some grease to rotate in. All right. That's a Deox electric parts cleaner. Okay. Let's get our bushing perfectly vertical. There we go. I'm going to just put a dab of grease right down there on that bushing, right inside of it. There we go. Right down inside there. Just to lube it up a little bit. There we go. And we'll put just a little on the shaft here. Always grease your shaft, guys. All right. There we go. Nothing crazy, just a dab on there. That grease is not going anywhere. It's not ever coming out of there, so. Okay. Now. All right, guys. That is now back into that bushing, and it's greased up and centered correctly. Look how easy it spins now. So I'm going to reassemble this motor, and I bet you we're going to have it working. So we got to get those brushes right there. Need to slide over the, I think that's called the stator. I think that's what they call that, the windings right there. See if we can get this over here. Okay, to do that, I'm going to need to pry them back with a small screwdriver. So those brushes are spring-loaded behind there. See, you can push a brush back like that. So I've got to basically push them both back while I slip the outer casing around them. So we're just going to push those back here, push it back here, and then I need a third hand. Okay. I'm going to zoom in. So right here is a brush, and here's a brush. And so I'm going to try to push those brushes, retract them like that. And then Shannon's going to push down on this plastic piece so it goes around that, I think that's called the stator. Correct me in the video comments, guys. So basically, if you try to hold them back, I'll try to push this down. You kind of get the feel for it. Just play around for a second. Yeah, all right. Push right there on the brown, right there real hard. All right, let me see what we got. Boom.
Levy.
We got it. So there we go, guys. Thank you, Shannon. So there are those brushes. See, are pressed against. And this can spin now freely in the brushes. Perfect. All right. So now that that's back in place, we want to reassemble our worm gear in here. All right, guys, we are going to test this motor now and see if that fixed it. Got our jump box here. Let's turn this on. Okay, it's energized. We're going to connect one power lead. Boom, look at that. Perfectly working motor. I knew that motor was not broken. It was too nice. Now let's go the other way. Very smooth, very quiet. That works absolutely perfect. Yeah, this thing was way too nice to be broken. So as you guys saw, there's a bushing down here, and that bushing, it had like popped a little forward out of the bushing, and it was not able to turn. It was bound, and that's why we were getting sparks. It was trying to turn, and it was like binding. So that is fixed, you guys, and this is a very nice condition motor. You guys just saw the inside of it. There's no corrosion or anything. It was just that stupid little bushing down there. So that was very rewarding to fix that. So let's pop this mechanism back on here. And there we go. That is one fixed. And I greased it, lubricated it, cleaned it out with Deox. This will probably be good for another 30 years. And tighten them. But that is now back in place, and I went ahead and wired everything back up to our switch. There's the junction that connects the wires from the motor to the wires from the switch, which then in turn runs into our switch. And guys, what y'all just saw me do with that motor is why these cars are so incredible. Clearly you could see when I took that motor apart, that was very high quality, extremely good materials. There was nothing there that was broken or damaged. The only thing that happened is the bushing at the bottom tilted sideways and bound. It was not able to turn, and that locked up the motor from turning. And these cars are so amazing because you can take them apart and you can fix them. You can't do that with modern cars. And that's why these cars will be on the road for, the next 30 years. They've already been here for 30, 40 years, and they're going to be here again because you can fix all of the parts. And that motor was in excellent condition. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to order a brand new motor or, a used motor from a parts vendor, because this one looks outstanding. And sure enough, it is in great condition. So let's go ahead, and we've got our switch reconnected. Let's go in here and let's turn some power on, and let's watch our window work. Works perfect. And all right, guys, I just wanted to reassemble this door panel. This is the stuff I use. It's 3M Super 77. It's just multi-purpose adhesive. And this is basically the same as what the factory would use. And you just basically spray it in the same spots the factory did. There we go. And then you just reattach your plastic cover. And it's important when you attach it, you want to pay attention to where the holes line up for your armrest. And I know you guys can't see this very well, but there we go. I just lined up. There's a hole right there for the armrest and right there for the armrest. And then I kind of press it down around that. And then we want to run our courtesy light. We're going to run that right there. I'm going to run that through here. And then again, we'll just there we go. and that is back to how it was from the factory. So now we'll go ahead and assemble the door panel, and we're going to put our center console back in and put all the trim back on, and then we're done. Okay, we have the door panel back on, chrome lock trim, the actual lock lever, armrest, got all the switches back on, and the handle. So this is all reassembled, and we now have a working window. So let's go ahead and put back in the center console. All right, here we are back in the car. I got everything reassembled. Let's give it some auxiliary power, and we now have a perfectly working passenger side window. All right, guys, so there we go. That took me most of the day, and it's really hot and sweaty, so I am done for the day, going inside. I guess I'm going to make some YouTube videos now, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.